Top story now, and the New South Wales Health Minister has warned coronavirus school closures are, quote, likely to be the new norm as the number of cases in the country reaches more than 90. 2 Sydney schools remain closed today after 3 students were confirmed to have COVID-19. Joining me now, New South Wales Education Minister Sarah Mitchell. Minister, good morning to you. Can you just bring us up to speed with what the latest is this hour?
Yeah, so the latest is that we do still have those 2 schools closed that you mentioned, one Catholic school and Willoughby Girls High School as well. They'll be closed today while health contact any close contacts of the affected students, look at a period of self-isolation in the same way that we put in place for Epping Boys High School last week. We're anticipating that both of those schools, and particularly Willoughby Girls, will be reopening again tomorrow, but we will communicate that through parents and families throughout the day as that becomes confirmed.
Why closed for such a short amount of time?
So that's the advice from health. It just gives us that time, particularly for them to contact anybody who may have been in close proximity to an affected student. So anyone who was in face-to-face contact for about 15 minutes or within a class with those students are the ones that are at risk. So that's why we're taking the precaution to ask those students to self-isolate. The school can also be thoroughly cleaned during that day as well. So look, we're following the advice on health on this. They think that that is the appropriate approach at this point in time, and that's why that's the measure that we're taking. So
you agree with that? Because we're all told, if we come into contact with someone who may have the disease or may have contracted the virus, that we should, stay at home for 2 weeks.
Yeah, so that's what's happening in this case. So any students who are in close contact with the affected students are being asked to stay at home for 2 weeks.
But for anybody else who might have been in contact with the student as well.
Yeah, well, look, that's health's advice in terms of those who they define as close contact. We follow the advice of the Chief Health Officer. We think that's the right approach, and that's why we're taking those measures. But again, this is an evolving situation, as I said when we spoke to you last week. If things change or the health advice changes, then of course we'll change what we do in terms of schools as well.
Any idea what the source for this outbreak is for the 2 schools in New South Wales anyway? And of course this comes on the back of another school closure in Victoria this morning too.
Yeah, look, my understanding is that all of the students do have a family member who also had the COVID-19. And again, that's what health works through now. They look at close contacts of that students, but my understanding is there is a link in terms of their family.
OK. What new procedures are in place at the moment?
Well, look, in terms of schools, obviously we've got that precedent where we shut for the day, work out close contacts and then reassume school as normal. I'm sharing that advice with my colleagues around the country and federally as well, just so they're across what we're doing. Then we also kick into gear the opportunities to provide education to these students remotely, because a lot of these students who have asked to be in isolation aren't sick. They're just in that precautionary period where we need to keep them at home. So we're ramping up the technology, making sure that the students can continue to work from home so that their education isn't too disrupted by this period of isolation.
There are some places, Minister, that are testing people's temperatures as they arrive to go to work or to go to school. Is that something that you would consider and that could be in place?
Yeah, look, we're again working with health on this. We are getting the message out to our parents and families, take proper precautions. If your child is unwell, if they've got flu-like symptoms, a cough or a cold, and they really shouldn't be at school, please keep them at home. And, I think that's an important health message for everybody. We're certainly ramping up the communications at our schools in terms of hygiene, health, hand washing, hand sanitisers. And I think that's part of the national message that we need to get out in terms of people need to look after themselves and take this seriously. I think people need to be prepared but not panicked at this point in time.
Sure. Yeah, no, I get that. And just finally, are many parents pulling their kids out of schools that aren't the ones that are closed at the moment?
Yeah, look, we're not seeing big increases in that, and I will say that the parents at both of the public schools that we've had to shut have been fantastic. We had no students turn up at Epping Boys on Friday. We had all of the girls home from Willoughby Girls within a couple of hours yesterday when the messages went out. I think parents, again, are taking this seriously, which we appreciate, but there doesn't seem to be a panicked reaction more broadly across the system. OK, and just personally, have you been to these schools in the past few weeks where you might have been close to people who could be carrying the disease? Yeah, look, I actually did visit Willoughby Girls a couple of weeks ago, but it was before there was any period of concern, so I'm not worried. It's business as usual for me.
All right. Minister Sarah Mitchell, appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.